Saturday, LSU and Ole Miss. So a big game atmosphere. So looking forward to catching up with our guy, Chris Blair, who's in studio with us this morning. Good to see him as always. Voice, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Sorry, I've been it's been what, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a hurricane, then we had the off week. We had the off week, and then actually, I'll be honest. You're right. I'll be honest. We got back at 6 a.m. from Vegas. That whole week was I don't even remember. That whole week leading into the Nichols game, I can't even tell you about. But
man, really, the first month's been a fog.
Yeah. So I apologize. I really hate not getting over here, but I'm glad to be back.
No, it's great to see you again, man. And I guess in our time away, what has been your assessment to the start of this season?
I think it's a team that is slowly getting better and probably not as quick as all of us would have liked. Not offensively. I mean, I think there's still places to go and things to improve. But I think defensively, I think there was – the most optimistic I've been is coming off the South Alabama game. And, and that's not groundbreaking wisdom. That's probably how a lot of people felt. But that was the first game this season where it appeared – and I'm not comparing South Alabama to anybody else we've played or will play, but – that appeared to be the game where the defense was playing football, not thinking football. I mean, they were gang tackling. They were around the football. Whit Weeks, who is just, to me, has become like that prototypical SEC linebacker, is doing what he's doing. Greg Penn has played tremendous. And even with the loss of Jacoby and Guillory, which, again, you would love to have him back yesterday, I just think they found a good groove, where they're not asking Ahmad Bro or any of the other guys to play 70-plus snaps. They've got 2 or 3 guys they feel good, talent, now experience, of rotating in, which I think really – I think the defensive line is playing better.
I agree.
And, I think the emergence of what Coach Kevin Peoples has done with Savion Thomas – with both of the edge rushers has, along with Braden Swinson, I think is nothing short of just fun to watch. I mean, they're exciting now. And, the South Carolina game, we were talking about the Gamecock edge rushers, deservedly so, but it was Braden and Savion that I think really stood out in that matchup. And then they carried that over against UCLA, and they carried it over against South Alabama. So I see a little bit of improvement. And now over the last 3 games, you see a little more continuity. So that's the positive spin I'm putting on it.
And I think they're going to ramp up Don McKinley here.
Yeah.
I think that you saw a little bit of him going into the bye, and over the next 7-week stretch here,
you're going to need
of SEC competition. Big games are big games. You caught a lot of them on campus. What makes them?
The buzz, the feel. I was just talking to some guys from Mississippi before I walked in, and they were like, "What time are you going to be there Saturday?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be there probably between 9:30 and 10." Because my parking pass that everybody thinks is fantastic is so insular that if you don't get there, it may take 2 hours to get to your spot.
2 hours of campus traffic.
Yeah, just when you get to campus.
Right.
So anyway, but you can feel it now. The campus, the building, around the stadium this week there's a different feel. And I think it also comes because of the weather. I think the things are getting a little milder and you kind of feel like football weather. Like everybody I've run into, every place I've gone this week. Yesterday I was at my daughter's volleyball tournament and everybody in the crowd wanted to talk about Ole Miss LSU. I mean, that's when this place is going to be lit come 6:30.
It is. Garrett Nussmeier has just carried on what we have seen over the last 5 years, this quarterback play at LSU that has skyrocketed with names like Burrow and Daniels, where Nussmeier has just kind of fit in. What have you made of what is his junior season?
I remember telling you prior to the Southern Cal game that, that bowl game to me was like, okay, he's done enough to, I think, improve his own confidence in himself. Certainly he proved that the coaches now have confidence in him. I think he superseded what even I thought. The only question I ever had about Garrett was decision-making, because he would sometimes see double and triple coverage and go, I can put it in there. Right. And sometimes he did. Yeah. But sometimes he didn't. But, Coach Kelly, I think, was, again, very quick to point out, hey, guys, when Garrett was called upon, it was usually mop-up time, one way or the other. and he's just out there running around trying to make a play. That's different when you become the starting quarterback, when you are the name and the face of the LSU offense. You can't be out there just slinging it around. Mm-hmm. I think he's done a tremendous job in protecting the football, making the right decisions, and then he's got a great offensive line that has been superb in pass protection. And I think he's even superseded what I thought he would do, and I thought he was going to be very good. I've always thought he's got the skill to do so, but I think that confidence now of this is my team, I think he's fully locked in on he is the leader of this LSU offense.
Been fun to watch Caden Durham grow.
Oh,
right?
Man. I mean, Coach Dennis Shaver was on game day prior to the Nichols game, and we were talking about the Olympics and how LSU was so well represented, and then Hunt at the very end just mentioned, hey, by the way, a couple of freshmen that are also going to run track. I'd love to see Caden Durham get a chance to play tonight. We think he will. And Dennis said, well, I can tell you this: if he gets loose, there's not many people on the planet, much less on that field, that's going to be able to catch him. And, I mean, we've seen that. I mean, when he gets out, that is world-class speed that he's displaying. Those two plays against South Alabama were incredible. And to me, hopefully he's going to be close to 100% or as close as possible, and we see him play, because I think Josh Williams, Caleb Jackson, those two particularly have kind of taken his lead on his aggressive style of running. And he showed it in the South Carolina game on that touchdown run that nobody thought was coming on 3rd and 9. But I've seen Josh now, shake the first contact and get positive yards. I've seen Caleb do that. But I still think Caden might be the only one of that group that I know he's the only one that has that type of speed. But so far this season, he's the only guy that when he's able to get beyond the linebacking core, look out.
Wide receiver's been fun to watch guys emerge. Aaron Anderson's popped at times. Kyle Parker, who's out this weekend, has dealt with an injury, but he's made some plays. And you've had the consistency of guys like C.J. Daniels and Kyron Lacey throughout the start of it. Mason Taylor's been phenomenal. But this is a group that's a little banged up this week.
Yeah.
Is there a name that you watch out of that pack that you've seen maybe something out of that could take a step here? I don't mean to put you on the line here, but it just seems like they have options, and they're gonna need them this weekend.
Well, the first one that comes to mind is Xavier Thomas, because he's another elite speed guy. You can tell on special teams very early in the season that that guy A is very confident in his skills. B, I haven't seen him show an ounce of fear to go put his body and his arms and go get a football, and then again they've used him a lot with that shovel pass where he's motioning prior to the snap, and by the time he's at full speed and turns the corner, he's probably got you. I mean, it's hard at the snap of the football. It's hard to get the angle, and he's so quick to doing so. So I think Xavier Thomas, but Aaron Anderson's a guy that last year I remember watching, thinking, there's something not quite there, because I've seen his huddle tapes. I've seen why he was so highly touted coming out of high school. He just looked a step or two slow.
Right.
And Coach Kelly told me week 2, he said, look, he's where we want him to be in that development, where he's not thinking anymore. He's using his God-given ability to go play football, and he's not thinking. And now, you see him burn the seam and the catch he made at the goal line, against South Alabama. They do have options there. And it's unfortunate that LSU is going to be without some of those, because I think, you've probably talked about it numerous times. The only consistent piece that's missing in this offense right now is that over-the-top stretching the field threat. And that, again, comes with, Chris Hilton and Kyle Parker. And we saw Kyle do that on the 45-yard touchdown he had earlier in the season. But so, that's the only thing that's missing. And I think that will, if you get Kyle and Chris back eventually, maybe Chris can go a little this weekend. We don't know. But if he does, that gives that one more piece of weaponry to Garrett Nussmeier and this offense to again, stretch the field and put a lot of pressure. That suddenly, I think most defensive coordinators, when they find out that either Parker or Hilton are not in the lineup, they can breathe a little easier But once they get back in there, then that's another set of problems they'll have to deal with.
When LSU usually pulls into the stadium, they're bringing that big game atmosphere with them on the road. So you've seen a lot of these road big game environments. How much is it a home field advantage of what Saturday night's probably going to be?
I've often talked. It can lead to penalties. I mean, we've seen it from some of the best teams that's come into Tiger Stadium suddenly get a handful of motion penalties, especially inside the 20s
For sure.
when they're in those end zones. I think that goes there. I think, and I've talked to a lot of coaches because I've asked them that very thing. Because they all talk about the home field advantage.
Sure.
And, you look at a team like LSU and you look at their win record inside Tiger Stadium. I mean, there's obviously something to that. They always talk about how it's not so much affecting the visiting team as much as it keeps the home team jacked. They're at 11 the entire game. It helps them stay at 11 so that if they're up 14-7 and suddenly go down 21-14, there's not a whole lot of drop-off in like you would on the road where you're like, oh, no, I've seen this. I don't like this. I mean, that they talk about it in terms of the energy lifts the home team, that they know at any given moment when they make a play, Tiger Stadium is going to hit 11, and that's going to put the doubt in the visiting team. So a lot of coaches have always told me they think the home field advantage is because they don't have to work at all in any type of speech or at halftime or pregame to get the guys ready to go.
Yeah, and you can feel it in the chat. You can feel it in lunch places going out. I mean, people are ready for a big game. People are ready for a Saturday night.
To that point, I think we all kind of felt like leaving Vegas, just looking the way the schedule lined up, that it was probably, you lose that opening game, had a chance to win, didn't get it done. And then you probably had to wait to this Ole Miss game before you could change the narrative.
No doubt.
I mean, there are a number of high-profile college football analysts that have spent, the last 5 weeks saying, I don't think LSU's top 25 for whatever reason. I mean, they make arguments for somebody else, and somehow LSU's not top 25, which is complete, you know what. But the point is they cannot change that narrative until they got to this game. And you anticipated that it would be a top 10 matchup. Now, you probably didn't think Ole Miss was going to lose to Kentucky in Oxford. That aside, it's still a huge game. And, you get a win over Ole Miss Saturday night. If you're LSU, suddenly being number 12 or number 13 or number 10, wherever they are, suddenly that not only is legitimate, you may even move up a little bit.
So you mentioned you get to campus at like 9:30, 10 on Saturday. I'd imagine that the hay's in the barn for you by that time.
Yeah,
when does that get? Is that like tonight? You done?
Yeah. I'll print the two deeps probably at lunch today.
Okay.
I mean, and barring something crazy happens for both teams, I should be ready to go.
You walking around a little bit?
I do walk around a little bit. I usually go to my office, and really the only reason I get there so dang early is, like I told you, I got to get in position.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day can go smooth.
That would be a stressor.
Oh,
especially in your position, like. I got to go. Like, I'm just going. I just got to get there.
It's not worth
I'm
waiting.
not going to hang around and wait. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I was talking to the legend Bill Franquez yesterday. I asked Bill, I said, what time are you rolling in Saturday? Thinking he was going to say 9:30 or 10. He said, I don't know, about 2 hours to kickoff.
Billy.
But I didn't realize he only lives those stones throw from
Right.
Tiger Stadium. I'm a little farther out.
Oh, he didn't tell you about the helicopter?
He deserves it.
They kept one dorm room in Tiger
That's
Stadium.
right. He lands. That's that helicopter.
There it is. That's it.
Jerry Jones.
But yeah, I do walk around. I go to the office and get everything set up, and then of course we got a lot of we got the game day thing that goes on, which is outside, and there's always kinds of things that can go wrong there. So I spend my time at the PMAC. Then I usually go in, grab something to eat at the hospitality tent, and then sneak into the Maravich Center, watch whatever game. If it's a night game that we're playing, I'll watch whatever they've got on the giant screen inside the PMAC. And
this Saturday should be great for that.
Oh, yeah, it will be. So that's normally what I do. I take advantage of it because it is a lot of fun. I mean, I've been a lot of different places, and I've seen a lot of different tailgating, and everybody has their own tradition and their own unique thing they do at campus. But there's no place like Tiger Stadium on a game day like Saturday. I mean, there just isn't.
Right.
And truth be told, they won't admit it to anybody but me, but I've got a lot of friends who are
No doubt.
Georgia fans
No doubt.
and Bama fans.
Me too.
and they will tell you
100%.
they want to come to a game even when their team's not playing LSU. They just want to come.
Was it awesome?
Yeah.
You know it was.
So, yeah. So,
Place looks electric today. Yep.
Right.
Behind the keyboard, Sanford's the greatest atmosphere. But when they're calling me wanting tickets to come see Ole Miss LSU, something tells different.
That's right. No, I'm with you. 2 hours before kickoff is the pregame on the LSU Sports Radio Network. Remember that. Then you've got the post-game show. You've got the radio show tonight on the network. And then, as always, the call, which, by the way, we haven't spoke since before Southern Cal. Jacob Hester is what he has brought to that. And look, man, by no means, but Hester, you can feel it, man. He's kind of in his element there.
He does a good job. He's really done a good job. And, he's had to juggle a lot of things to make it happen because all of that, unfortunately hit. Sure. It wasn't the plan, but he's done a great job. In fact, he's going to be at the Red River Shootout Saturday morning with his, national gig, doing a pregame thing, and then flying to New Orleans, and then getting an escort to the press box.
Herb Street. Next thing you know, his dog in there with y'all.
I think there's a no pet policy in the press box, but we may have to
until 1-8 shows up. That's awesome. Great to see you.
Yeah, man, good to be here.
Have a great call on Saturday, man. It should be everything it's cracked up to be. Absolutely, with a cherry on top. Let's see if LSU can pull it out. It'll be a great one. Chris Blair, the voice, every Thursday. Great to see him back in studio. Remember, he'll be at TJ Ribs tonight with the coach, Brian Kelly, for Brian Kelly's radio show. Last time that Kelly will meet with the press before the game is kicked off. He'll have a press conference right after practice. Then he goes and meets Blair at TJ Ribs. They bang out the radio show, and it's game time. We will wrap